Is your small business growing? That's the question we address right here on the Grow Your Biz Show. It's where we interview strategic entrepreneurs who inform and inspire you in your solopreneur or small company journey. Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Grow Your Biz Show. Hi, and welcome to this episode of the Grow Your Biz Show. I'm so glad you joined us. This is episode number 71 of the show, and I am Paul Madsen, your host. I'm pleased to have in-house today none other than the sales hunter. That's Mark Hunter. Welcome to the program, Mark.
Thank you for having me on today. Looking forward to our conversation.
Well, as always, I am too. Mark is, you'll learn more about his background as we go along. Mark was on the show back on episode number 25, back in the old days when it was known as something else, but now we're rebranded to the Grow Your Biz Show. So
you're still known as the same thing. I'm still known as the same thing.
Well,
it's just the show change, right?
It's just a title change, that's all. They're nothing too serious here. So at any rate, Mark, well, yeah, like I said, we'll learn a lot about his background here as we go along. As always, Mark, I like to start out with my big question, and that is, Mark, what business are you in?
I'm in the business of helping salespeople find and retain better customers.
Wow.
Pretty simple.
That says it all. You're in the business of helping who? Helping
salespeople.
Salespeople.
Which is really business owners, everybody.
Yep.
Everybody needs more customers.
Absolutely. Find better prospects.
Find better customers. Let's get past prospects.
Okay.
Let's turn them into customers.
Okay.
Because if you find great prospects, you got great customers.
Prospects are good, but customers are better.
They pay the
People
bills.
who pay the bills. That's right. Well, that's what I like about that, Mark, is you are, without even thinking about it, you were able to tell me in just one sentence what it is you do. And too many small business owners struggle with that, don't they?
They struggle with it because they think they're a little bit of everything to everybody. And that gets so many business owners into trouble. You really have to know what is your lane and stay in that lane. And when you have a lane that you stay in, what you do is you're creating more value. You're creating more value for your customers, and you in turn feel much more confident. So it's figure your lane, call it your niche, whatever it is. And in this world that we live in, the tighter the niche, the more value you create.
Isn't that true? And we'll talk a little bit more about that. I definitely want to hit on that because I think small business owners, particularly, they say, well, I'm just going to put up my shingle and everybody will beat a path to my door. Is that true?
No, that's not going to, because there's so many paths that people can walk down.
There's a lot of paths.
There's a lot of paths you can walk down. And you can be the master of everything and ruler of nothing.
Yeah,
and that's what happens.
That's it, and be known for nothing. I once heard it explained, I think I've said it on the show before, I've written a couple books like you have, and they said something along the line of, a person wanted to write a book about breastfeeding. Well, guess what? Presumably a woman, obviously. There are dozens, maybe hundreds of books about breastfeeding out there, right? Well, this person was tightening her niche by writing about how to be a breastfeeding mother and still working 9 to 5. And so there's several nuances, of none of which I know anything about, but she dialed down her niche, didn't she?
That's what it is. You have to understand what your niche is. And you know what? The marketplace will tell you if you listen to the marketplace.
That's really key. I'm going to write that down, get back to that one. Market will tell you. You bet. Well, Mark, tell me, we've got a little bit of background. We'll go to the size of your marketplace soon. First of all, secondly, I guess, I want to hear about why you are in the business you're in. Why are you helping these businesses to acquire more customers?
Well, I'm passionate about sales. And the reason I'm passionate about sales is because I'm passionate about people. And if you think about it, why do the majority of small businesses fail? Because they don't have enough customers. Why do
Pretty simple.
Really,
it's not because they can't write the checks or do accounting or
they don't have the income.
You know,
they just don't have the revenue coming in
without the revenue, right?
So my passion is in sales, but that's really the delivery vehicle to do what I really like to do, and that is to help people. My objective or my definition of a good salesperson is the same as really a good leader. It's to help others see and achieve what they didn't think was possible. Now, if you think about that.
I love it.
If you think about that. If I can help somebody do that, then I have helped them really achieve an outcome. And I have achieved my outcome because I've helped somebody else. And to me, that is a great reason to wake up in the morning.
Well, I really love what you said, because you're talking about they didn't see it themselves, perhaps. I mean, that's the benefit of having a third party, a coach, a counselor, a consultant, whatever you want to call that person, is so often we don't see the forest for the trees.
We don't see it because we all live in a bubble. Some of us live in very small bubbles, some of us live in big bubbles, but it's still a bubble. And the role of the salesperson, the role of that outside influence, is to come in and kind of pop that bubble. Pop the bubble. The idea is to allow you to now see what is bigger. And if you think about it, that's really, in this era we live in, there's so much information available out on the internet. People say, well, gee, I don't even need a salesperson because I can go find what I want and just buy. Yeah, find what I want now, but see, that salesperson can ask you questions, can probe, can help you find a better outcome.
They consult your process along the way.
They move you to a different level. That's huge.
Granted, I mean, I know a guy, you'd think with the internet, who needs a travel agent, right? Who needs a travel agent? I dial up everything on my phone and it's all there within 10 seconds, boom.
Right.
And I can make my choices, make my flights, whatever the case. Well, I know a guy who does a great business as a travel agent in this day and age. Why do you think he succeeds?
He succeeds because he delivers value to people that are looking for value. And this is what's very interesting. That travel agent, now I would imagine that his customer base probably comes from a larger market than it did before.
Good point.
Right? So this again is this whole thing that you may have automation, you may have other tools that peel off parts of your market. But what does that mean? You just have to expand your market. But he was able to expand his market. Why? Because he became known for delivering great service. And when you deliver
you haven't met him, but you know
service,
it. Yeah.
I'm just presuming.
Well,
that has to be his lane.
Yeah.
That's his lane.
Yeah.
And his lane is undoubtedly probably even tighter because there's probably a certain type of customer, and see, this is the whole thing.
Yeah.
He knows who his ideal customer is.
Yeah.
So many businesses, they race after anybody. Whenever I'm speaking to audiences, I always say, just because the prospect has a heartbeat doesn't make them a customer. I mean, my dog, I have a dog at home. My dog has got a heartbeat.
Yeah.
My dog's not buying anything
not
from
much.
me. So what I want to do is I want to find who is that perfect customer.
Yeah.
That's who I want to be targeting in on.
That's important, and that's what I think this guy's niche is: cruise, high-end cruises, and
High-end
things like that.
cruises.
You know, when someone misses a plane or a connection or something like that, what do? They get on the phone with him. Can't get on the phone with somebody on the internet you booked a flight or booked a cruise with. So it's all about service. It's all about niche.
Right.
I agree 100%, Mark, with all that. Another question I want to jump on before we get into the nuts and bolts is, Mark, there are tons of people out there who are sales consultants, sales trainers, sales coaches, you name it, whatever you want, title you want to give them, who go out and teach people how to sell more. I've got dozens of books, including yours, High Prospect Selling. High Profit Selling.
High Profit Prospecting. High Profit Selling was the first book.
Yes.
High Profit Prospecting.
I'm getting confused.
That's okay,
High Profit
okay.
Prospecting, getting confused. I'll be honest, about 3/4 of the way through this. I love this because, life is so obvious and simple sometimes, we just don't even remember it. The whole idea of, you reminded me, I grew up in the 80s and 90s using the telephone to call people in the staffing and consulting and placement business. I spent a lot of time listening to a lot of voicemails and a lot of chasing on the phone, and kind of didn't like it anymore. Got a little ragged of it, a little tired out. But I was reading your book and said, I should get on the phone. And we'll talk more about that. But where I was going is there's lots of coaches out there, lots of coaches too, who teach selling. What makes the sales hunter, what makes thesaleshunter.com different? What makes Mark Hunter different than all these others?
Well, besides I got the last name Hunter, so yeah, you're right. I had to go with
you didn't change it.
And I didn't change it. No.
It.
I think what makes me different is, and this is the key for anybody in small business, it comes down to the relationship and the confidence that you bring to the table. And if you think about it, if you're a small business owner, if you cannot create in the parties you want to be working with a level of confidence, which comes about through a relationship, you really have little chance of selling on anything but price, period.
And that's a race to the bottom.
Right. So what I like to say that helps me separate myself is that I help people find what their true voice is. Because I bring my true voice, I bring my real voice. You know, what's very interesting is, and we have the millennials to thank for this. Millennials are all about authenticity and transparency. You know,
Right.
they've grown up in this fake world. And if you think about it, what is social media? It's fake. You know, it's all fake out there.
It is.
And what people are craving for more than ever is authenticity and transparency. So when I can help you as a business owner show how to create that, how to be seen as that, what does it do? It allows the other party, the customer you want to sell to feel more comfortable. Here's what I've found. When two people are having a conversation like we're having today, we're very relaxed, and as a result, there's a lot of dialogue going on. But see, if there's not this level of trust, this level of confidence, authenticity, and transparency,
Right.
it's going to be fake. We're going to be throwing fake stuff at one another.
Good point.
And there's no way that a sale is ever going to be made on anything other than the lowest price.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to be the lowest price person, fine, go ahead and be fake. I don't
Right.
care.
Yeah.
But you know what? You won't be in business.
Well,
very long.
yeah, I agree with you 100%. I heard it explained, people come to, in corporate America, they might come to a board meeting, or not board meeting, a meeting, typical meeting that happens on a daytime, and they all have their phones, and they're all looking at their phones and scrolling through it and doing business, presumably, until the meeting starts, and some don't even stop then, but so then they're supposed to put it down. Well, that's fake, as you call it, because it used to be where you'd come to a meeting a couple minutes early and you say, hey, how's your dad?
The dialogue.
Heard your dad was ill. You know, what's going on with him? And that's magic, because it builds that trust, that relationship. And now that's inner employees, but it works just the same outside, doesn't it?
It works in everything. And this is what people are more starved for than ever, is relationships that are authentic and transparent. So again, if I can be that business owner and I can deliver that, because think about this, my goal is I have to deliver that to my people. See, what's very interesting is we create a culture wherever we are, and culture is really a big piece of our bubble. Our bubble is kind of representation of the culture we create. What I got to do is I got to create as dynamic a culture as possible. What is the culture built around? The culture is built around a level of influence and impact. Now, not influence and impact to take advantage of you.
No.
But influence and impact to help influence you to see bigger things and help impact you to be able to take bigger risks, bigger opportunities, bigger things. You know, Jim Rohn passed away about 10 years ago. I believe he made this, I believe he said, you know, you are the sum of the 5 people you associate with.
Was he the one that started that?
I'm not sure. Okay,
I've heard it, but I don't care.
I'm going to give him credit.
I give him credit for a lot, because he's awesome.
I think it was Paul Madsen. I think it was
No,
Paul,
that might
I
have
think it
been,
was Paul Madsen.
I don't think Paul Madsen beat Jim Rome to that piece of wisdom. No.
I don't know. Could be.
But it's great stuff.
But if you think about that, isn't that what a salesperson's doing with the customers they speak to?
Well, yeah.
Regardless, whether it be in person, whether it be on the phone, whether it be in email, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, I've heard what you're saying summarized as you have to make sure people know, like, and trust you. And as I listen to you, I mean, and so your differentiator then, to get back to that question, is to, I don't know if this is the right way to say it, is to teach people skills to your sales forces out there that are your customers.
That's, you know, sales is people talking to people.
Yeah.
And that's really what it comes down to. Now, there's a whole other science and so forth behind it, but I say that sales is more of an art than it is a science.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, it's the ability to
Well, you
listen.
can re-engineer it or engineer it and
Right.
all the processes
Right.
and the charts. And if he says this, then go to here and do that. I've been in those environments.
Oh, right.
Terrible.
But, you know, to that regard, so many times we can screw up a 2-car funeral because we overcome, you know, hashtag, tweet that, hashtag, you know, we can screw up a 2-car funeral.
That's funny.
We can overcomplicate things. So, you know,
Yeah.
and again, customers, people don't want to be no, I want to have a discussion, I want to have a conversation. Yeah.
So Mark Hunter's differentiator is to teach people skills to his clients, and clients being sales forces, and helping them to know, like, and trust, become known, become liked, become trusted. And it's pretty simple, isn't it? Why do we, am I right about that differentiator?
It is.
Okay.
That's a perfect, I mean, I've never really thought of what is my differentiation out there. I've always thought, well, it's me. But it is. It's people.
Yeah.
It's people.
Well, and we talked about this a little bit off camera. These messages are simple. Why can't we remember them? Why do we have to repeat them? Why do we have to read so many different books? Why do we have to hear it over and over?
Well, I think there is two things. One, we have very thick skulls. That doesn't sink in.
I do.
But B, the reason we do it, and I give Zig Ziglar all the credit, he said this, is that why do you take a shower every day?
Yeah.
It's why we need to dig in and read, why we need to dig in and learn. I spend a tremendous amount, Warren Buffett says he spends 5 to 6 hours a day reading. Because reading has a compound effect.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, he knows about compound effect.
I think he's done a pretty good job on it.
Yeah.
And I stop and ask myself, so as a sales leader, I need to be continually learning. I need to be continually growing myself, because if I'm going to have if I hope to impact people and influence people, I have to be continually bringing new insights.
Right. Well, in your job, in your role, that's what you do. And so people won't hire you back if it's the same old message. But ultimately, there's a lot of repetition because they have new sales forces, they have new objections, they have new markets to deal with, new management, et cetera. I think a lot of your world and my world is just reminding people of what they sort of already know. But I really like the part you bring, the evangelist part, about helping people see something beyond what they already have. Now, that's the real vision. That comes from your 20 plus years in the sales world, which leads us to the segue, I guess, of, tell us about the background. Tell us about how you got started in all this. I mean, presumably you had a real job somewhere along the way, and before you went out into the saleshunter.com and were Mark Hunter, the international sales consultant. Tell us about those humble beginnings.
Well, we got to back the truck up.
It's a big truck.
We got to back the truck up. Actually, when I was in college, and I'm writing about this in my next book that's coming out.
Okay.
Mondays are for selling, but that's a whole separate piece.
Okay.
And in college, I wanted to go into marketing. I wanted to go into advertising.
Okay.
And I would have done that, except I ran into the Seattle Police Department.
Okay.
No, they ran into me.
They ran into you.
They ran into me multiple times.
Doesn't sound good.
Yeah, it does sound good. I got 4 tickets in the course of about 2 months.
Okay. 4.
Speeding. Nobody was hurt. Nobody was hurt. Speeding. 3 of them were speeding. 1 was speeding on the wrong side of the road. But that's a whole separate issue.
That's another show.
But because I was in college, I wasn't responsible. Oh, geez. Okay, parents out there, are you listening to that? Yes. Your children feel they're not responsible when they're in college. And I kind of blew it off. A few months later, I received a notice in the mail that I couldn't afford car insurance. They were still willing to have me, just as a very gifted person in their high-risk pool.
They liked you to pay for the car insurance.
So what happened was
I
had to find a job that supplied me with a car.
Gotcha.
And that's how I wound up in sales.
Okay.
That is how I wound up in sales. So I spent about 18 years in corporate America, working for 3
So you weren't in marketing.
large companies.
What was your first sales job?
My first sales job was selling sides of beef.
Wow.
But I had a white Buick, and let me tell you something. It was an awesome white Buick because it was free. Okay?
Oh, there you go. You had a company car.
See,
huh?
that's what it was all
And
about.
who was your market? Who would you sell to?
I was selling to Sears stores. That's a whole separate.
That's another show.
Do not blame me for the downfall of Sears. Do not blame me. This is in a generation ago.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
But anyway, so I progressed, and I didn't last long.
Yeah.
I didn't last long in that company. But anyway, I wound up and had a wonderful experience, spending considerable time with 3 very large companies, very large corporations. And what brought me to the Omaha area was in 1992, I took a job with ConAgra Corporation.
I've heard of them.
And spent 6 years with them.
Wow.
And after 6 years, I said, you know what? I'm going to go do my own thing.
And you were, what was your capacity
I
there?
was director of sales operations
Okay,
in the grocery division. And so in '98, I said, I want to go do my own thing. So I left a wonderful job.
Wow.
I had a wonderful job. I mean, I felt I had the best job in the company.
Yeah.
And boom, I began this. And then
What made you want to do that?
Well, I wanted to be in charge.
I got it. I understand.
No, I just felt if I was going to go do my own thing, that was the time to do it while,
Sure.
while I still had, and that was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And so I've been doing this for 20 years.
Wow, yeah.
And,
on your own.
Yeah, on my own, yeah.
Wow, and what were some of your first clients and your first sales? This show, of course, goes for people who are launching their own businesses and starting, and we've talked about it. You don't have any sales for your early
no,
company, and you're in
no,
trouble. People often
no.
think they're going to succeed wildly because they know their niche, but guess what? Unless they know how to sell. So what were your early sales struggles? As you
We
went to
don't
sell
have
yourself?
time to go into that. That's code for it. It was dark days.
Dark.
Days. No, it was. It was. And I wound up doing a tremendous amount of consulting, almost becoming a body for hire.
I see.
From
Okay.
a sales standpoint.
Teaching small companies, big
Teaching
companies
small
how to
companies, helping small
vitalize
companies,
their.
doing things. And it was a real struggle for the first 5 or 6 years. And then I began to move more into training, and now I do primarily speaking, and I speak all over the world.
Tell us about that transition. I mean, you're a body for hourly body for hire, teaching them how to one-on-one kind of small companies or small groups, and then you move to a training role where you're more front of the room.
Yeah, and then from there I moved to more of the larger stage and doing more keynote speaking, and that's primarily what I do today. I do a lot of speaking.
Right. Tell us
around the world.
briefly about some of the high scope things, and we'll get into your upcoming event
Yeah,
as well.
I mean, the high scope things, I mean, I've had the chance to stand in front of thousands of people all over the world. I think I've spoken in about 27 or 28 different countries now on five continents.
Wow. Yeah, I remember you sent me an email from China one day.
Yeah, and that is absolutely a kick, because when you can convey your message to global audiences, wherever you are in the world, that is absolutely fun. Because, sales is not an issue just right here. Sales is global. Business is global. Here's the whole thing we have to look at it. The economy is driven by business. Business is driven by sales. Sales is driven by prospecting. Prospecting begins with salespeople. I guess I'm at the top of the food chain.
You are.
I love it.
Yeah, well, it is. It's absolutely right. Absolutely right. What was it like to get from your first biggest? I mean, when you decided, hey, I am a platform speaker. You were a trainer, and I know it's an iteration thing, and it's only taken what, 2 decades?
Yeah, it's only taken 2 decades. Yeah.
But what was that like when you first went to the big stage?
Well, the big stage. I remember one big stage. This goes back, I don't know, number of years ago, and suddenly I'm on the stage with Simon Sinek, Seth Godin, Ariana Huffington.
Holy cow!
And I'm going, wait a minute, this is Mark Hunter from Omaha. No, the sales hunter from Omaha. The sales hunter, yes. But you know what? You realize that you have a message, and this is the whole thing. You have to believe. It's not about ego. In fact, I've got a definition for ego. Ego is empowering greater outcomes.
Empowering greater outcomes.
Empowering greater outcomes.
Right.
But you do have to believe in yourself.
Right.
You have to believe in the message that you can convey. So the ability to stand up in front of thousands of people and convey in a meaningful way information that's going to change their life.
And
it's huge.
It is. Cool. I mean, it does. I've been to the Zig Ziglars and the Dennis Whateleys and all that, and Brian Tracy's and so on, and their information does change your life. I've heard you online, of course. I've not been to one of your in-person ones. I hope to do that. Before we talk about your upcoming big event, I wanted to get 1 minute of your advice for the small entrepreneur out there, the startup guy or gal who wants to launch their own thing. For you, 20 years ago, what do you wish you would have known then that you do know now?
It's easy to get caught up in. I'm just going to put a lot of stuff out on social media. I'm going to put that. You will. You cannot take clicks and likes to the bank.
Right.
You cannot take clicks and likes.
They've never
Never. Your bank, my bank, does not take clicks and likes.
Grocery store hasn't.
What you want to do
taken
is you want to have one-to-one conversations. Have one-to-one conversations.
It's good.
And the idea is to create a solution for that one person. Listen, they will tell you what they need. And craft the solution for that. And you build it out one person at a time, and they will eventually take you to the next person. The number of referrals, your level of repeat business, and so forth, is a measurement of the quality of your job. That's what I always tell a small business.
That's a good point.
If you're not delivering, if you're not getting repeat, if you're not getting referrals and so forth, then guess what? You got to look at the quality of your business. You got to look at it. So.
Good point. I hope that you go back and look at this show again, because and replay what Mark just said, because we don't have enough time to dissect into that, but it's everything. It really is everything about business, what Mark just said. So with the remaining time, I do want to let Mark talk about an upcoming event that he's pretty proud of and should be. Mark, tell us what's on the near-term horizon for you and your group.
Well, the big event is coming up April 24th and the 25th, I believe it is, called Outbound Conference. It's in Atlanta. We'll have over 1,000 people there.
1,000?
Over 1,000. I'm one of the co-founders. We just started this a couple years ago. We do one a year in Atlanta. And why Atlanta? Because it has the #1 airport, because we have people coming in from all over the world. Got a note today from some people in China who are coming to the event.
Wow.
This event is outbound selling. I love it. It's outboundconference.com is where you can go. I'll give the people my secret password, Mark100, and you can save $100 on it.
Oh, Mark100. Okay. Well,
but we've invited in, I do this with 3 other peers of mine who we're good friends with, but this year, and that's Mike Weinberg, Anthony Iannarino, and Jeb Blunt. But this year we've invited in people like Jeffrey Gittimer, we've invited in Victor Antonio, we've invited Bob Berg, Colleen Francis, Andrea Waltz, and Waldo Waldman. That's just to the 2-day main stage. It is power, 100% content. There's no selling from, so many times you go to conferences and there's selling. There's no
books
selling.
And tapes and all that, yeah.
This is 100% content.
Content, that's fantastic. And April what?
April 24th, 25th, 26th.
And as an emerging entrepreneur, I mean, I have limited funds, but it really comes back to it. I really believe in something like this for a startup or for a small independent solopreneur, because they're going to learn how to sell.
You will walk out of it with a plan, and you will not have to spend $10,000 buying somebody else's program to do it.
Seriously.
That's the whole thing.
Amen. All right, right there. That's everything right there, buddy. So, well, with that, I will have to wrap up based on time, and I'm so glad you joined us for thesaleshunter.com and for Mark Hunter, my friend, and please check out my retreat coming up, the Grow Your Biz Summit, April 13th and 14th, a little bit smaller than Mark's. We limited attendance to 18 people. Check it out on my Facebook page, on my website, and so on. And until next week, be sure you go out and grow something. Mark, thanks a lot for the event.
Thank you so much.
We'll see you next time.
Great selling.